So now I'll be moving a little bit more about how to convert thesis to journal. That is our main topic. So far, I have talked some of the side ways, because simply if you enter into converting thesis to journal, yeah, this is one topic, probably those who have ready-made thesis. But my intention, our intention is to train you for long term. That is more sustainable, not just converting thesis to a publication, but what would be your lifelong training, lifelong benefit. So that was the purpose. That's why I started from the preparation, definition of research, definition of thesis. And also, of course, motivation is very, very important. As you can see, I did the quality work, I did the quality research, and now a lot of things are coming. And not only that, I constantly got the invitation to join many, many universities. So I got highly cited researcher recognition award in 2014. Actually, the 4 universities invited me to join their universities. And King Fahd University, actually the representative came in Malaysia, flight from King Fahd University to Malaysia to convince me, to discuss me. And after a long discussion at the end, I feel this will be something good. And this is how I joined at King Fahd University. Even nowadays also I receive constantly a lot of offer. But as you know, I'm happy to be here at Malaysia. This university is good. But to me, if you work hard, job will hunt for you. You don't need to hunt for job, as an example of myself. Alhamdulillah. So now I'll give you some smell, some flavor of what is research. Okay, because our focus is with undergraduate students. So what research elements you have already gone through? Okay, so when we were at the school and colleges, we did the experiment, right? We dissect we cut the frogs and some of the biological and some physics related experiment, right? So we are already familiar. Maybe not that extensively, but in that case, maybe we are more focused on results oriented, not the knowledge of lab work or experimental work. I understand because I have gone through that process. So I know that what we really learned at that stage. But those are the elements, right? The lab experiment we do at the undergraduate level, at school level, at college level. So those are basically some elements of research. All those elements did not have novelty, did not have something new, just repeating something. But that is part of, because you are doing experiment. Okay, in that case, it was not something new, but in the case of research, you will be doing something new. That is the difference. So you have done, or you have gone through the lab experiment, assignment, for example. Sometimes you do the review, some project, that may be a lab work, that may be a survey work, that may be a literature review. Undergraduate thesis, as you know, it can be 3 credit, it can be 6 credit. So this is some sorts of research elements, because you have to search, you have to conduct experiment, you have to do survey work, depending on your field and so on. Master by research, basically this is a research work, this is a thesis. Masters by coursework, normally it is, majority is the course, but there can be 6 to 12 credits. PhD is mostly by research, but there might have some theoretical courses. So a lot of research element you already have gone through, you already have knowledge. So those are basically the research elements. But you are never trained how to convert this into a paper, how to make this into something a quality. So that quality aspect never were taught. In my view, I strongly feel, because these are the purpose of your getting your degree, okay, to get some marks in that case. So the focus was not something like to produce this as an outcome, as a report that can be published in journals or in newspaper or in some media. So that was not the purpose. That was just to get the your result and degree. Whereas the research, when we do the actual research, is basically we need some new novel findings. So this is a definition of a thesis, is written a record of work that has been undertaken by a candidate, guided by a supervisor. This is a long piece of writing, so it can be 100 pages, 120 pages, it can be 200 pages, it can be 300 pages. Okay, for example, for a degree such as PhD and masters and so on. This is important. So to understand what is the difference between thesis content and paper content. So normally for a thesis, there will be a table of content, nomenclature, list of tables, list of figures, acknowledgement, title of thesis, abstract, introduction, background, motivation. There is a long list, right? So that is not my intention to go so details. I'll not talk much about that. So a thesis is a long piece of work that may contain, for example, if it is undergraduate, it may contain 100 to 120 pages. So it is basically quite heavier than a paper. It is a long amount of work. Content is long, pages are long. Okay, it also maybe takes time, maybe 1 year, okay, 6 months. But as you can see, compare here, contents of a paper, it can have a title and affiliation address, few keywords, nomenclature, just some minor thing. Abstract, these are minor thing, and most important things, major things are introduction, methodology, result and discussion, conclusions, acknowledgement, references, and then most importantly, it is defined as a IMRAD, introduction, methodology, result and discussion. So you can see clearly the difference between a thesis and a paper. This is a big amount of work. It can be 100 to 20 pages, whereas a paper is 100 to 20 pages. So basically, one idea is to convert from big content, large content to a small content. Okay, the basic contents are almost similar, as you can see here, but this is just matter of condensing. But it will not ensure that you can publish. So that's why you need to see what will make your paper strong, what will make your paper publishable. Those are the recipes. Basically, in the few next subsequent slides, I will be focusing key elements, key ingredients that will ensure that can be published. So those are more important than condensing. Condensation, making 100 to 20 pages, it is not that difficult matter. But what should be the content? Again, even it is undergraduate, but the definition of any paper, Q1, Q2, it does not relate it with undergraduate, it does not relate to master's PhD, it relates with the quality. If your undergraduate has a quality better than master's, definitely you can publish. Your quality, undergraduate quality can be better than, in some cases, a PhD. I have experienced many people. I have recruited many people. I work with many people. Unfortunately, in some cases, I found that even a PhD degree, they have certificate, but cannot produce something like undergraduate. Unfortunately, this happens. So how to write papers? So I'll start with the formation of that is the first element, how to form a good title. This basically should tell readers what your paper is all about. The title of manuscripts need to be short and relevant. As you have seen, scientific paper must be concise, short, precise, not too lengthy. These are strongly discouraged. These are not good practice. Long paper, lengthy papers are strongly discouraged. This is an art of writing scientific paper. Short, precise, and relevant to the subject matter. Okay, sometimes you write whatever you like, but your subject is there. So you check your subject matter, whether it is relevant or not. And this title should attract readers' attention, and as a result, because our intention is that our paper will be read by others, will be used by others. So if we write title which is not appealing, which is not catchy, which is destructive, which is full of jargon, abbreviation that only you know as a mathematician, as a chemist, a lot of chemical formulas are there, only you know, other general people cannot understand. That basically will distract reading and going through your paper, and it may not be used, it may not be cited at all. So formation of a good title, this is my own practice with my student. As you might know that I have supervised, continuously supervising almost 80 masters and PhD students. So I have huge experience, and this is my unique experience I'm going to share here, how I develop title with my own students. So I ask them to mind map with 8 to 10 keywords, because we all are working together. We know what's the overall content. Okay, based on the content, we can write 8 to 10 keywords, 10 keywords, 15, 16, whatever you can. But later on, you have to scrutinize. You know which keywords are weak, which are strong. So this is based on perception. Again, we don't know exactly, but as we are working on the topics, we know which will be strong and which are weak. And also when you will be reading the paper, literature study, and you also will go through the keyword, that also will help you also to identify the strong keyword. That's why you need to study the literature, how they write the keyword, what's the important keyword there. You'll get the experience and also practice this. So from the out of this many keyword, you eliminate 5 keywords and you keep the 5 strong keyword, and then you join them, connect them in the form of a title, and form 3 titles, discuss with your supervisor, discuss with your collaborators, and then finally you make your title. And if you practice this way, I'm sure that at least your title, there will be less comments or may not be any comments at all if you form the titles in this way. Sometimes some of the challenges like title is too long. Normally it should be 10 to 15 words. Not attractive, not appealing, contains a lot of jargon, too general, too specific, does not reflect content. So the last one is, in most cases, those who are new, sometimes they don't really think critically, they put whatever they like. That's why critical thinking is very important, and that's why I brought this keyword. If you bring this keyword and then you filter only the strong keyword, and then basically that keywords are the content. You are bringing that from content. So this will help you to avoid that the title does not reflect the content. These are some examples of good title. As you can see, it is very clear, straightforward, does not contain mathematical jargon. Okay, so overall it looks good title. And if I am a reviewer and this is in my area, and I feel very, I feel that this is an impressive title, this is an interesting title, this title I will go through and read. This will entice me to read in my area. There is another title also, you can have a look. Affiliation is basically the list of authors and their address, and this should be written clearly. Otherwise, you will face some difficulties. As you can see, we put the number here. First author number 1. Number 1 indicates is his affiliation address: Department of Mechanical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, University of Malaya. Star or asterisk indicate corresponding author. I am also one of the corresponding author, and their email address are provided. I have put 2 address 2 and 4. 2 is my Sunway University, because I am also working with Lancaster University. Okay, normally senior people, sometimes they have visiting position, they have adjunct position, and I have joint appointment with Lancaster University. Again, as you can see, because of my profile, because of my recognition, again, this is a special recognition also. I'm working with Lancaster University, and they are also impressed. And as you can see, my recognition came through Lancaster University also, I think announced in the earlier slide as you have seen. So this is how to write the affiliation address. Be always consistent in writing your names, and also don't forget to write your affiliation address. Otherwise, if you don't write your affiliation address, that will not be counted for your publication requirements. So always be careful to put exactly what is exact affiliation address correctly. Okay, so this is very important. So now about the abstract. So title is gone. Now is the abstract. Second element: tell readers what you did and important findings. It should be short and precise, giving the clear indication of what investigation has been described in the manuscript and precise conclusion to entice the potential readers. It should not contain the details of the experimental procedure and analysis. So mathematical jargon, method details should not be bring here. Should contain the significant results. And there are some guidelines. Again, you have a look, author's guideline. And also when you are going to submit papers online, actually it will indicate you, it will show you, if you submit more than that limited word, it will show you the red button, you cannot submit. That's a good thing. But also in the author's guideline, always given how many word limitations, normally 150 to 200 words, depending on the journal. Different journal, different word limits. But normally these are the numbers you should maintain. So it should be short and precise, should not contain experimental details, significant results should be there, but this will be the best option for you. Okay. So when I was doing my research, I was not well trained. I was not given all these types of opportunities. I did not know how to write good abstract. So when I submitted my thesis, my supervisor said it is not good thesis. He was very unhappy. And then I was in very difficult situation. Then I started to read North American good quality thesis. And that's how I benchmark my work with North American thesis and so on. So this is very the structured, balanced way of writing the abstract. What should be the ingredients of the abstract? Otherwise, you may not know. You will put everything on the introduction part or background information. So if you follow this guideline, it will help you to write a good abstract. So as you can see, it should contain 1 or 2 sentences on background information, 1 sentence on objectives or 2 sentences, methods, and they put more content on the results, and finally conclusion. So basically what you have, you should put some elements or some sentences or background information, some on objectives, methods, results, and conclusion. So this will make your abstract balanced, well structured with all elements, and this will help you to write a good abstract. So this is IMRAT, how it came. So for your easy to remember, IMRAT stands for introduction, methods, results, and discussion. So now the second important element is the introduction, is basically the provide the context, convince the readers that you clearly know why. Okay, it will answer the question of why your work is important. You have to highlight, you have to demonstrate that your work is important. Introduction section should contain brief statement of the need for the need, why, the review of up-to-date literature. Up-to-date literature is basically for last 5 years. So we are at 2021. So from 2015 until 2021, major portion, 80%, 90%. You can bring some literature from 1980, 2000, no harm, but majority should be the latest for last 5 years. With specific objectives should be there. I will highlight how to write the specific objectives. And most importantly, if you want to be a prolific researcher, as you have seen, initially I started with invention, creativity, innovation. Okay, this is basically that the originality and novelty, the third one. Okay, it should reflect the originality, uniqueness, novelty, how it differs from others' work. This is important, but you may not understand what is originality. Originality is something you are not going to reinvent the same way. Somebody has done something. In that case, there are some drawbacks, there are some gaps. You are going to improve. Maybe efficiency, you are going to improve 10%. And that maybe is very expensive. So you are trying to reduce the price. So that is called uniqueness. That is called novel. That is called something different, not doing same thing somebody has done. Maybe your method is different. So that is called the originality. So in Facebook, sometimes undergraduate student asks, sir, I don't understand what is originality. Okay, so this is very important if you want to be a prolific researcher. Without strong novelty, it will be impossible for someone to publish in Q1 journal. Okay, so that's why I am giving you this training, so that now if you are first year, definitely now you know the originality. So first thing you will be, one of the learning objectives will be also how to identify the novelties. You'll search for novelties. Without novelties, you cannot publish in Q1 journal. It will be, even though you have thesis content, but it will be very hard for you to publish. So that's why if you want to be a scientific researcher, good quality researcher, prolific researcher, it is very important to address this novelty. This section should not contain normally 4 type pages, so some page limit should be there. Major content, this is again to guide you, so it should contain some background and motivation information, a few paragraphs or a few sentences. It should contain objectives and scope, problem statement and novelty, latest relevant references and application. So how to write smart objectives? Let me drink water. So writing the objectives in a better way, it is called SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, timely. Always be rational, something you are designing so that it can be achieved in time. It is measurable, it is realistic. Within 3 months, if you plan, it is possible. You are planning for 1 paper, so 2 objectives, 3 objectives should be okay, not 5, 6 objectives, not like a PhD degree. So that's how it is defined as. It should be specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and timely. Of course, we need result also. This is how to develop your, this is called Bloom's taxonomy, because we are going to publish, so it should be from level like analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Application also should be okay. So you can find this Bloom's taxonomy word and you can apply. These are basically to address the depthness and level, because quality, as I mentioned, the quality. So analysis, synthesis, evaluation, any project-based work, any thesis work, actually it is higher level, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So that's basically the idea of this Bloom's taxonomy. So that your level, breadth and level, it is very high level that can be published. that actually is trying to reflect through this Bloom's taxonomy. So normally the knowledge, it is lower level. You cannot publish with this thing. So if you want to publish, you need something like application analysis. It would be stronger if you do something like evaluation, validation, comparison, okay, like some project. So these are some examples of the writing objectives to analyze with some action bar, to analyze thermophysical properties, to develop a mathematical model that is very high level, to validate the model, to compare the model. So all these are strong keyword and high level keyword actually from our published papers. Originality, as I mentioned, it is very, very important. So you have to give special emphasis, strong emphasis on identifying the originality and also addressing the originality. So that's why you see that our work is highly novel. That's why we can publish it in good quality journals, because this is our prime goal, core goal. So originality can be very high, marginal, useful, and none. Of course, if it is high, then it will be better for you to publish. Read literature from all databases, scrutinize more relevant papers, read introduction part, where basically when you read introduction part, that will also sometimes will help you to guide you to identify the novelties or some research gaps. Read recommendation, future direction of the review article. Normally in the review article, there are some specific direction that might help you also to identify the novelties. Ask, discuss with your supervisor, because you are new. Your supervisor, for example, I'm in this area for 23 years. So I know what are the novel things can be done, what are the research gaps there. So that's why collaboration is important, working with the strong people is important, working with those who are experienced, knowledgeable, has been publishing, and they have recognition. They can help you to identify some novelties, some research gaps. So these are how to address the novelties. Sometimes you have novelties, but you write just simply like this is, there are only limited literature, so that is not strong. So this is one way to address novelty in a stronger way. So what you can see in this case, this is with one of my students. So we have studied 20 to 23. These are the references we have studied. 28, 29. These are the references we have studied, and we found that there are some drawbacks, and there are something additional benefit, additional activities we have done in our paper. So what are all those things? So we have investigated exergy efficiency compared to all those references. Our fast flow efficiency is higher than the available literature. Finally, we also address the stability. This is one of the major problems. So as you can see, we have addressed three novelties, and when we submitted in a journal, and it has gone through review process. And initially, editor asked what is the novelty, and when we address the novelty, and the editor allowed it to go through review process. So this is one way to address the novelty. So critical way of analyzing the literature. So I will not go much, I will not spend much time in this aspect. So search them, learn them, write them, and list them. Okay, so this is important slide. Actually, this is always a problem for new researcher, even experienced researcher. This is to address the question of coherency. How well structured, well organized. This is again I learned when I attended a one-week workshop in Vietnam, organized by German Academic Exchange. This was very useful workshop for me. So when we have a title, then we also develop some objectives, and I have shown you how to develop the objectives. Once you have objectives, then you design your methodology. Methodology is basically how to address, is to address the question of how you are going to generate the data, how you are going to produce the data. So you have objective number one, you design your methodology based on that stated objectives. So you have objective number two.
Excuse me, sir. So we can't see you.
Sorry?
We can't see you. The video.
You want to see me? Okay, no problem. That one yeah, okay, no problem.
One more thing, sir. One more thing. Excuse me. Okay.
You can see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So আমাদের চ্যাট বক্স আমরা ওপেন করে দিয়েছি, আপনারা এখন প্রশ্ন থাকলে প্রশ্ন করতে পারেন, কেউ কেউ হাত তুলতেছেন। So you can write down your questions in our chat box now. It's open. আর আমরা কোশ্চেন এন্ড আনসারিং সেশনে আমরা সেই প্রশ্নগুলোর উত্তর দিব। তো আপনাদের হ্যান্ড রেজ করা লাগবে না, প্রশ্ন লিখলেই হবে ইনশাআল্লাহ। Chat box is open now. Thank you. Yes, sir.
But let me finish, right?
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Of course.
Yeah, okay. The important things are done. I will go a little bit faster. So this is methodology part, result discussion, and hopefully maybe another 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So once you have objectives, you design your methodology based on stated objectives, and once you have methodology, basically you have your experimental design. You produce the data, and then you present the data results, and you discuss them. This is systematic, coherent, and well-organized ways of doing your works, writing your paper. And then you see the finally conclusion is basically achievement of your objectives, concrete achievement of your objectives. So you have objective number 1. Now you see that you have achieved your objective. So you can write one paragraph, you can write bullet, you can write as much as you need, but not to excessive amount. Don't put the discussion in the conclusion section as well. So this is to address the question of coherency, well organization of your thesis, your work. If you follow this way, definitely your paper will be well organized. Writing comprehensive methodology. So there are experimental work, there are theoretical work, there are computational work. So if it is experimental, so theoretical simulation work should contain detailed section. The methodology part should contain all the details here. Only the most important equation features should be here, like mathematical model, too much equation jargon, it should not be here. It can be provided in the appendix. Excessive things, more details but essential treatment can be presented in the appendix. Details of computer tools also should be here. What is the purpose? What is the reason? Should be provided here. And all this actually how to write the paper actually is already in the YouTube. Later on you can have a look. So that's why I think I will go a little bit faster on this. So if you have experimental work, its details should be here. Facilities, specification, accuracy, all this should be here. Justification of the method used for the test should be there. So I understand there are different categories of researcher here. So if there are methods in social science, it should be a qualitative method, quantitative method, mixed method. So this one I have taken from someone like Imtiaz from UPM. He helped me to write this. So these are the method for social science, basically to produce the data, to generate the data. So quantitative data, qualitative data. This is how to collect the data, and also the survey work, interviews, focus group, participant observation, videos, and this way you can collect your data. So this is important for experimental work. Statistical analysis, sensitivity analysis, error analysis will make your work very strong and robust. How strong your results are is to verify, is to check, and is to ensure statistical analysis, sensitivity analysis, error analysis. Normally in our undergraduate study, we studied the measurement analysis. There are some content. We studied how to do this statistical analysis. So this is the important sections, result and discussion section. It should be the critical analysis of the result obtained and their significance, novelty and nature of the originality should be argued and discussed in more details. Simulation, if simulation result, it should be validated, it should be compared because there might have some limitation in the simulation work. Any limitation should be highlighted there, any avoid any errors, quality figures, and so on. So as you can see, the figure should be good quality. Nobody will read this thing, so always try to avoid copy and paste. Try to draw these types of avoiding these types of poor quality figures. Left hand side, as you can see, there are 3 figures. Actually, you can combine. This is journal what once, as I mentioned, the short, precise way of presenting your data. Rather than presenting in 3 figures, just present in 1 figures. This is short, precise. Okay, scientific community likes this way. Reviewer will be liking this way. This is important slide. So strong. What make your analysis very strong, which is not possible with the undergraduate thesis. So that's why it will be hard for you to publish. But if you know how to make your strong analysis, so this is my experience. This is based on my 23 years of experience, and definitely I got it from other people as I've gone through the review process. So must have strong reasoning phenomena. Why your results are fluctuating, increasing or decreasing. You have to give strong reasoning phenomena. Highlight the originality. So you mentioned originality in your introduction part, but here the achievement. For example, your results are 10% better. It is 20% cost effective or better in terms of cost effective. So you have to show that results here. Validation, comparison, sometimes if we compare with others results, model, this will make your results more stronger, better, valid. error or statistical analysis, as I mentioned, this will make your result stronger and robust. No contradictory statement. This happens sometimes, you know, you want to submit your paper at the draft stages without going through a number of stages. So sometimes in some same content, you have written increasing, in another content you have written decreasing. So this is contradictory, meaning that you have not spent your time, you have not checked correctly. So if this happens, this is definitely is not a good approach. There should not have a redundancy. Redundancy is meaning that sometimes same tables and figures are presented in two times. I mean, same data is presented both in tables and figures. Don't present in this way. Just simply present either one, either tables or figures which represent better. If you feel that table is better, present table. Don't present figures. And sometimes also it is mixed. Don't also mix. Present only on the necessary things. Don't make them duplicate. Same thing either in both in tables and figures. That is called the redundancy. No methodology. So in the methodology, you have discussed each and every details. You have space, you have room there. So don't bring the methodology here. This normally happens in case of junior researcher. So some methodology part is brought in the result and discussion. This is particularly result and discussion. You discuss your result as much as possible. So don't bring methodology part here. And also you need to understand what is methodology. Methodology is basically the experimental setup, experimental parameter. And this is the result and discussion section. So you put the result and you discuss them more on reasoning phenomena. And there should be the good quality of figures, tables, as I have shown earlier. The poor quality tables and figures actually will not be acceptable. Think what should be presented first and what should be next. So hierarchy, that's why you develop objectives, you develop methodology, result and discussion. So if you follow that flow of materials, I think it will help you to write what would be first, what would be last. Don't present your others literature first, otherwise people will understand, or reviewer will understand this is the review paper. First present your own result, then you put or compare with the literature. Okay, so conclusion actually should the precise reinforce the originality, very important points. So the last one is the most important. The concrete achievement finding of the work should highlight the objective. So you have three objectives. Now you write conclusion based on your stated objectives. Conclusion is basically achievement of your objectives, and this is findings. So difference between abstract and conclusion, this is normally a question always asked. Abstract is the summary. Conclusion is the concrete findings. Okay, concrete findings or best result, best outcome. Whereas abstract is the summary. Okay, in the summary you have background information, you have objectives, you have method, you have some results, you have some conclusion. There is a one section conclusion in the abstract, but here only the conclusion part. That is concrete finding. So my method is the best method. We got 10% better than the scientific results. Okay. So strong conclusions, achievement of objectives must tally with the objective. This must be major findings, no discussion and no reasoning. I think this is also very important. Sometimes we become reckless, so we don't follow publication ethics, and we will fall into trap, and that will be very detrimental. So that's why publication ethics must be ensured. So you try to learn these things, publication ethics. So not to steal others' ideas, plagiarism, content similarity. So all those tools are there. You check them. You ensure that your work is high quality. It is your work. It is not from someone else's work. Okay, so I am here trying to share something, our facilities very quickly. These are our impressive facilities we built here. This is for the purpose of collaboration. We spent 5 million Malaysian ringgit, $1.5 million US to build the lab. So it is fully operational. Those undergraduate students, whether in Malaysia, internationally, locally, internationally, those who need help, as you know, to produce quality data, you need quality lab, quality equipment. So that's why wherever I go, I was University of Malaya. So I spent 3.6 million to build the lab to train the students. Here at Sano University, we built the lab by spending 5 million. These are the strong foundation of good research. So that was our first target. Even before joining, I talked with them and I need few million of ringgit to build the lab. They asked how much I need. I mentioned 5 to 10 million. Yes, they have given. Otherwise, I would not join. Okay, so as you can see, we have impressive labs. So we can cater many of the people in science, engineering, nanomaterials, energy, heat transfer, thermal, electrical side, and so on. Those who are interested, and also we can provide service. Those who need service also locally, internationally, yes, we can. You can test your sample by paying some fees. Yes, we have that both options. Collaboration is also open. Service is also open. Welcome. As you can see, this is impressive lab. We have almost each and everything. We also have some collaboration with MIT, so we are starting some projects. Collaboration is important for your sustainable research. You cannot sustain without collaboration. Let's help junior also. Let's grow together. These are my team members. That's why I could publish so many papers, so many citations, as you can see. When I was University of Malaya, that was my best team. It is quite hard to develop here, but still I have a lot of external collaborations, international collaboration. So still I have a lot of collaboration. So if you want to do research, you need all these facilities, equipment, software, as you have seen, expert, scholarship, databases, internet, personal communication. So you need all these resources as well. Databases are ScienceDirect library to get your paper and so on. Forming an effective team is very important for you if you want to be a good researcher. So there should be postgraduate, undergraduate students, lecturer, professor, technician, international, local, expert collaborators. This will make your research sustainable, long term. You can sustain, you can produce quality work. They can train you, they can help you. You alone cannot work. If you work in a silo, you cannot be a good researcher. Maybe one paper, two papers, but that may not be sustainable. Of course, there are challenges. Maybe sometimes expertise. Maybe you are looking for a supervisor. Maybe it will be difficult to find. Research-minded supervisor, resources may not have enough resources, but that's what I showed you here. But in Bangladesh, you have Atomic Energy Commission, you have BCSIR, you have Dhaka University, you have BUET. Of course, there will be challenges. And I shared my resources. If you need also my help to identify some other equipment somewhere else, we can help you. Sometimes authorship also challenges, unprofessionalism, funding, suitable topic, how to find topics. I have given you some of the ideas, guideline, lack of training. So I have given you some of the ways also how to improve your training, knowledge, preparation. You can find my lecture mostly on how to write original paper, review paper, citation impact, higher studies. Each and every details are there. I think I have 12 lectures over there. Whatever I present this lecture also will be uploaded in YouTube for the benefit of young researchers, for the benefit of scientists, whoever need my help locally and internationally. That's why I always spend some quality time to serve the society, serve the community, serve the young researcher, particularly those who need my help, because I'm 23 years of experience. My country trained me, built me, Malaysia, helped me, University of Malaya helped me, Sanofi University is helping me. So this country helped me to build. So I'm obliged to share knowledge that I have. Of course, this is 1 hour, 2 hours, up to 2 hours we can, but there are maybe in future, I think Enamul will announce also something. We also have something very dedicated, special, because if you want to improve your paper, it may not be possible just 1 hour, 2 hour. Maybe that 1 week, 2 weeks, longer term, you need the dedicated time to tune your paper, to polish your paper, to make something publishable. We have another package I discussed with Enamul, and that's also we did at Sanofi University. Sometimes we give the 2 days workshop. It's more and more details, each and every aspect to cover. So all those will be, you have to pay some services there, because that's you will give a certificate and a lot of time is invested. So 1 hour, 2 hours,